Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know the title is so weird, but here it is, guys. If you guys have been following me on Instagram, then you know that I am pregnant. Yeah, so I thought I would film a video about my first trimester experience, everything I've been going through and like my symptoms and all of that. And I think, you know, when I was in my first trimester, I was Googling so many videos like this just because, you know, it made me feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more connected to other people who were going through the same thing. So I thought that this would be a great video to kind of like, you know, reflect on my first trimester and how it all went. And yeah, so I hope you guys like this video. Let's just get straight into it. I am currently 20 weeks pregnant. By the time this loads, I might be 21, so we'll see on how my editing skills go. But I'm halfway through my pregnancy, and it's just crazy to think that I'm there already. Time has been going by so quickly. It really has. So this is just my way of kind of looking back and remembering everything that I've been through the past couple months, and just, you know, share all of that with you. So the first thing I want to get out of the way is whether or not we were actually trying to have a baby. And although my husband and I want to have babies, or when we got married, we said to ourselves we want to have babies in the near future, we did not expect that we'd get pregnant just 4 months after we officially did our nikah, our marriage. But it happened. And the way it did was I was tracking my period over a couple of months, like I do, like a lot of women do, and it just so happened that it was my ovulation week, and we both kind of knew it, and it worked. So we didn't know it was gonna work, we didn't know anything, and it was just like a shock to us. But we weren't trying for a baby at that time just because I had just recently graduated, we had just got married, and I was looking to hopefully get my spouse visa in order to apply for full-time work. And the reason for the full-time work is so that way I could practice, you know, practice law as a paralegal or get a training contract. And with a full-time job, we were hoping that we could buy a home, buy a house. So we live in a 1-bedroom flat, and that was our goal. But when we found out that there was a baby on the way, everything changed. I was still going for my spouse visa, of course, so I could stay in the country with my husband, and I was still looking for work because I knew that from the time I got pregnant to the time I couldn't walk anymore from like a big belly and stuff, I could potentially work. So that was what happened. I found out I was pregnant in my 4th week of pregnancy. It was such an early pregnancy test that I took. And the only reason I took it was because I was feeling so different about my body, like extremely different. And I knew something was up. So I took the pregnancy test. As soon as I saw those 2 lines, I was so shocked and I started bawling my eyes out. My husband came in and he knew I was taking it, and he looked at it too. And instead of tears, he just stood there in utter shock. Like, he couldn't believe it. So my reaction was crying, his reaction was shock, and I think a lot of men go through that. It was such a crazy moment and a surreal moment because we were both not expecting it at all. A few days after finding out I was pregnant, I called the early pregnancy clinic and I went in for a scan just so I can make sure that I'm actually pregnant. It turns out that I was pregnant, but there was no yolk sac yet. So I had to come in a week later just to make sure that there is a yolk sac attached to the little bean that's growing in there. So I went in for another scan in my 5th week, and they saw the progress. So there was a yolk sac after that. I was so happy and so excited to know that the baby was growing in a very healthy way. Guys, when I found out, I wanted to tell the whole world. I want to tell you guys on Instagram, I want to tell YouTube, I want to tell everybody. I want to tell my friends, like I told my family, but I want to tell everybody. And my husband and my family had to rein me in and tell me, listen, you got to keep this under wraps for a few months because you just never know what's going to happen. And the purpose of keeping it to yourself for 3 months, at least for the first trimester, is so you don't have to sit there and explain to hundreds and hundreds of people what had happened to you. It's such an emotional time for you. It's very, very common for a first pregnancy to not be viable and for you to have a miscarriage. It is so common and so normal. So all these women or women out there who are trying to get pregnant and have had a miscarriage the first time around, just know that it's very, very normal. Because I never got to talk to a lot of people about my pregnancy and just to share to the whole world. I'm just like, I love to share. I think it's bad that I do. But I downloaded a couple of apps just so that I could connect with other ladies who are going through the same thing as me. I did feel alone throughout my first trimester just because I couldn't connect with you guys and talk about it and connect with other moms on my social media. So I downloaded a couple apps to make me feel, connected. There are like discussion boards on different apps where you can just, ask questions and see what other people are going through. The only thing about these apps that I'm gonna say is that if you're anything like me, if you're an overthinker, you do not want to be spending hours on that app because it's gonna make you go crazy. It's kind of like if you're Googling a sickness and then you find out that you could have like the worst disease. It's kind of like that because a lot of women go through different symptoms in their pregnancy. You don't want to be thinking that you're going through the same thing if it's just something very minor. So just be very cautious that when you're on there, you're not listening to everything that every woman has to say about their pregnancy. But overall, I felt like I had someone to talk to. I would like talk about how, yay, it's my first scan coming up. People will share photos of their scans and how the baby looks like at certain dates. And so you could kind of compare how your baby's turning out in the scan to another baby. That's also a little bit of an issue too, because not every baby grows at the same rate. So you have to be a little bit cautious too. So it's kind of like there for you. These apps are kind of there for you just to make you feel a little bit better. What's great about these apps is that you get to see how big your baby is every day. So right now in my 20th week, the baby is the size of a banana. So it's the length of a banana. It's never the weights of the fruit. Whenever they're comparing it to a fruit, I always thought it's like the weight and the length, but it's just the length of the fruit that they're talking about. So right now it's a banana. This is so cute. But it starts off from like a little pea to, a strawberry, and like it just goes on from there. It's just so cute just watching it grow. And also some of these apps have like a 3D image of how the baby looks like at certain points in the pregnancy. So it's so enjoyable and fun to kind of see how your baby is looking like at that time. It also, helps you bond more and you know what's going on in the belly of yours, because your first trimester, you have just no idea what's going on in there, except for your symptoms. That's how you kind of know that you're officially pregnant. Let's count down those symptoms that I had, guys. So I had soreness up top. I had major exhaustion. I had morning sickness, and I was extremely tired. Oh, and I also had migraines. Oh, the migraines. If you have migraines before pregnancy, sometimes what happens is that during pregnancy, the migraines get a little bit worse or they show up a little bit more. That's what's happened to me. Even in my second trimester, I'm kind of feeling the same thing, but that's in a different video, guys. Let's stick to first trimester. So nausea, guys, the morning sickness that I was feeling, it lasted from about week 6 or week 5, I would say, to week 10, 11. And it wasn't just in the morning. I don't know why they call it morning sickness. I felt nausea almost all the time. It would happen for a few hours in the morning, and then it was like a break in between, like lunch. It's like my nausea took a lunch. And then at night, it lasted for a few hours as well. The way that I combated the nausea was actually gulping lots of water. Gulping so much water helped me bring down that nausea. I also bought these wristbands that you could place on your wrist. It puts pressure in a certain point right here that helps apparently bring down your nausea. When I bought those wristbands, that was near to the end of my first trimester. So it was near to like my 10th, 11th, 12th week. And it did help a little bit. I can't say it helped me 100%, but I did feel a little relief in my nausea at some points. So I don't know. It's up to you guys if you want to try the wristbands. Try them out. They're not that expensive. I got them off Amazon. I'll leave a link of the wristbands that I got. So going back to drinking water. Drinking water is so important. It really helps bring down your nausea by a lot. So I'm not saying just a little bit, by a lot. And what you're doing is you're grabbing your water and you're not sipping it, you're gulping that stuff down, because what's gonna help your body relax. It's gonna make your body feel less hungry, because you could be going through major hunger pains, and that's what I went through as well. It helped my body feel like it's not extremely hungry. When you're extremely hungry, it makes your nausea even worse. So it's all about water, having small meals throughout the day, so about 6 meals a day. If you don't feel like having like actual meals, you could have snacks. So a lot of fruits and vegetables, a lot of little sandwiches, like you can make yourself little sandwiches. But I'll talk about like the things that I wanted to eat and like any food aversions that I had in a second. The last symptom that I had was bleeding. Bleeding for a lot of women is so natural and it's so normal, but it does cause a lot of worry. And whenever you feel like it's more than like a coin size, you should be heading to the hospital or heading straight to a clinic, because it's important to make sure that you are safe, the baby's safe. Sometimes there's nothing they can do if it's, the first sign of miscarriage. But what I did was I called the clinic and they checked me up and they said that the bleeding was implantation bleeding. I did not know what implantation bleeding was at all. So what it is basically, implantation bleeding is when the embryo attaches itself to the uterus, and while it's doing that, certain blood cells start popping because there's a lot of irritation happening down there. So it's really important to ask your doctor, ask your midwife, ask the clinic where you're heading to about it, so you don't get worried about things that you shouldn't be worried about. I forgot to mention that weight gain is also another symptom. You start to gain a little bit of weight, and it's normal to be gaining weight throughout your pregnancy, but obviously you have to make sure that it's at a really slow pace, as opposed to this like, let's just eat a bunch of like fries and chips and stuff. It's not the time for you to be eating for two. That's like a myth. You should not be eating for two. You should be eating when you're hungry, and eating very like healthy foods. I'm not gonna lie though, I did have days where I had like a lot of pizza. But your body's craving it. Why not? It's okay too. It's just doing things in moderation, just making sure you do them in moderation. But my symptoms lasted, like I said, from week 6 to week 10, 11. And then I didn't start feeling better until I would say week 14. That's when I started feeling like my best. I was feeling so exhausted before, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you feel like yourself. You get your energy back. It's just so crazy. It was a relief. Like, it was definitely a relief going into my second trimester. So you just have to hold steadfast in your first trimester and just know that it's gonna end soon. What's very helpful is talking to friends about it, like very close friends that you've told, your family, your partner. Talk to people that have been pregnant before, and just, express all your feelings and tell them that you're feeling so tired and so out of it that, they'll be there for you to listen to. All right, when it comes to food, oh my God, food. I had more aversions than I had cravings. So aversions means like you just don't want to touch the food, you don't want to look at the food, you don't want to smell the food. It's certain types of food that I just want to stay away from. And the biggest one was fried anything. Fried chicken, fries, the air fryer, the smell of the air fryer. So anything that smelled like fried food, I just wanted to stay away from it. There was something about fried food that just made me want to gag. It was so bad. I also didn't want to be near like raw chicken. Like, if my husband had asked me to cut some chicken, I would tell him no. He would do it for me. There was no way I was cutting raw chicken at the time. No raw beef, nothing raw meat. Ew. I just couldn't be near it. Now it's a totally different story. Now I'm okay. I also didn't want to eat cooked vegetables. Like, the frozen packets with like the peas and the carrots and all that. I did not want any of that. I didn't want broccoli. I didn't want zucchini. I didn't want cauliflower. Nothing like that. Or spinach. Ew. None of that. Nothing cooked vegetables. I just, for some reason, I just didn't want to be near it. Instead, I wanted like fresh fruits and vegetables. I love cucumbers. Like, give me all the cucumber that the world can give. It's so fresh and refreshing in your mouth, and like, it makes you feel so healthy at the same time. I love the feeling of anything fresh. I was also craving lots of yogurt, and I don't have yogurt on a daily basis. Yogurt is one of those things where I try to stay away from just because I'm lactose intolerant. So I love like oat milk and coconut milk, and if it's like a yogurt that comes in that form, I love it too. But for some reason, my body just really wanted yogurt, and so I had to have it. You know, it just made me feel so good, and I just love the taste of it. It tasted so good. But my biggest craving, other than the fruits and the yogurt, was lemon. I loved lemon. And if you're Lebanese or Arab, we eat lemon in such a funny way. Like, we cut them up in little pieces, we put a dash of cumin on it and some salt, and we eat those pieces like it's cake. Like, it's so good and so yummy. I also loved sour gummies. Like, there was like about 2-3 days where I really wanted sour gummies. So yeah, I think all these symptoms were because of my nausea. I couldn't fathom how I'm gonna have fried food and be nauseous. Like, it just wasn't gonna work for me. For some reason, my body knew to have fresh fruits and fresh vegetables and like lemon pieces. I think that my palate was really craving fresh everything because of the nausea. And I guess it does make sense in a very like holistic, healthy way. I spent my first trimester literally just laying around. Obviously, you're feeling sick all the time. There isn't much that you could do. I watched a lot of Netflix. There is a baby documentary on Netflix that was really nice to watch. You learn about a baby's progression and really important studies that they do on babies, so there's a better understanding of how they grow up. I highly recommend you watch the baby documentary on Netflix. It is so good. There was a lot to learn. I had my husband watch a few episodes with me, because it's both our babies, right? So you both should be like learning about how this baby will potentially grow up, and like the certain things that it's important to know about, like their brain development, their physical development. It's just so interesting to learn. So definitely check that baby Netflix show out. The way I spent my first trimester was lying around like a huge beluga whale. And don't let anyone ever tell you that you're not allowed to do that during your pregnancy. You can do that as much as you want, because guess what? You're constructing this little human being in your belly. It's just crazy how the female body is. Like, I appreciate the female body just even more now that I am pregnant. My body's doing so much. Your body's doing so much. So lie around, watch a lot of Netflix. That is my first trimester. I want everyone to remember that my symptoms and my pregnancy journey is different than every other woman out there. Every woman has a different pregnancy story. So please do not compare yourself. If you're having a hard time getting pregnant, please consult your doctor. Please consult professionals, because they will be able to help you. These kind of videos are just for, you know, when you're laying down in your first trimester and you want to feel like you want to connect to another human being about pregnancy. That's why you should be watching these videos. So they're not so much informational videos as opposed to a feeling connected to other women that you're going through the same thing. I found watching these kind of videos so helpful, and I hope you guys did too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited to go through this pregnancy journey with you guys. I can't wait to do the other videos that I have in my mind. But I hope you have a lovely day. I can't wait to see you guys next. Bye.